Well, welcome everyone to this podcast of Connected by Community, brought to you by Ballantine Capital Advisors. We bring you this podcast about our community, nonprofit organizations, businesses, and other community interests. And today, I'm excited to have Mr. Mark Swanson here with us from Moore Beauston Woodham, and also our Cameron Cannon from Ballantine Capital Advisors. Mark, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming. So we wanted to have you on because this is that lovely season called tax season.
Yes, sir.
And I know that's something that accountants live for. Not everyone else does. So we're hoping you're going to help walk us through what some people can do and think about maybe to make their lives a little bit easier. But before we do that, tell the community a little bit about yourself, kind of your background, where you came from. Are you from this area? Did you move to this area?
So I grew up in Michigan, and I came to Bob Jones in the late 70s and never left. So I got my undergrad degree at Bob Jones and then went back and got a master's degree at Clemson. So go Tigers.
I hear you.
Go Tigers. I'm a fellow Clemson Tiger as well, and
all right.
both my parents went there, so
okay.
runs
Very
deep.
good.
Rebuilding year, though, this year, right?
That's right, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, we only won 10 games for 11 years in a row, so rebuilding.
Yeah.
That's right. So tax season's here, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
we're kicking this thing off, and tell us some of the maybe common mistakes you see people making when they're preparing to do taxes, just individual, not small business owners right now. We'll get into that in a minute.
I think one thing, clients have a tendency to do is not factor in their required minimum distributions for IRAs and really not necessarily being smart about how they handle their RMDs. So one thing we like to do if clients are in a situation where they are financially able they don't need the RMD, is to do a qualified charitable distribution so they can give the money directly to a charity, and then it goes out of your IRA and they're not taxable on it. You don't get a deduction for the charitable contribution, but for most of our retired clients, they're not able to itemize anyway, so they're really getting a benefit that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
Yeah, that's an awesome tool. We've been doing a ton of that. And the only thing I would say, caveat I'd add to that is do it earlier rather than later.
That's right.
One of the things with COVID, it's, we're still living in that world. These custodians get really, really backed up. And I think sometimes people want to wait to the last minute, do it in the summer or do it now.
Correct.
For this year. But don't wait till much past the fall. You get in a rush, you may not be able to get a hold of your accountant to talk to you about it, or, you may have the custodian can't get it out. So great tool, would totally agree with that. What other things? Any other things come to mind?
I think with the itemized deductions being so high, the standard deduction going high, one thing we're encouraging our clients to do is really kind of double up on charitable contributions and real estate taxes. And so you would end up itemizing one year, and then the next year you would not itemize. So pay your real estate taxes in January, and then in December pay your real estate taxes again, and then do 2 years worth of charitable contributions in 1 year, and then that way you itemize 1 year, and then the next year you don't have, your deductions aren't that great, and so then you would not itemize that second year, and that really that maximizes your deductions.
So it's kind of become a little bit simpler for the average person not owning a business because of that. But those are a couple of tricks they can.
Correct.
There's still some things we can do.
That's right. That's right.
Got to pay attention.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I think more and more, planning is much more critical than it was in the past.
Yep. Absolutely. What about small business owners? What are some things, maybe some mistakes you see small business owners, and probably more opportunity to make mistakes because there's a lot more going on, but things you see there?
Well, I think, many times small business owners tend to be afraid of the IRS. And while we want to be reasonable, our philosophy is that our clients should pay the least amount of taxes as is legally required.
I like
that. So we do tax avoidance. We don't do tax evasion. And if you want tax evasion, I can give you other CPAs that you can do business with, but we don't want you.
You don't want to wear orange jumpsuit. Yeah. Orange only for Clemson,
that's
right?
For
Clemson,
orange for Clemson, but I don't necessarily want to have a prison uniform. So, but we're really a planning practice. So we really encourage our clients to be proactive with their planning. So, we'll do a variety of different retirement planning opportunities and really, fixed asset additions is obviously we want to be careful. You only want to spend money if it's necessary and if there's a legitimate reason to do it, because it never makes sense to spend $1 to save 40 cents in taxes. So we'll have clients that, oh yeah, I'm going to do all this money and save taxes. And I said, well, if there weren't a tax situation, would you spend the money? Well, no. Well, then don't do it for tax reasons if that's the only reason you're going to do it. So just, be smart with your business and your deductions. So.
That's awesome. So I know we talked about individuals and small businesses a little bit. What's usually the tipping point that, especially on the small business side, somebody kind of, gives your firm a call to reach out to you, kind of asking for your help?
Well, there are a lot of CPAs that are not planning CPAs. They're really compliance, and that's all they do is compliance. And so they don't necessarily understand all the various planning aspects. So we'll do, I've worked with a number of clients doing business succession planning where the client's looking at selling their business and, the client, many times it's a 3 to 5 year process to prepare your business for sale. Many of our clients are entrepreneurs, they're actively involved in their businesses and they're doing, they're really the chief cook and bottle washer and they don't have people that really can help them. And they've got order takers, but they don't really have people that will help them run their business. So we've got a pretty large client right now and, he hasn't had a CFO. And I just told him the other day, I said, you got to bring in a CFO. You need to develop to get this business so it can operate without you. And so, you want to be the strategic leader, but you want to have people there that can operate the business on a day-to-day basis without your involvement.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what I'm hearing so far is planning, which I know me and Brian like, because that's obviously we're financial planners. Right. And I think that, correlates a lot to what we do as well. You got a lot of, kind of like what you said, we got a lot of other financial advisors that say that they're planners that, normally just sell products and stuff. Yeah. So, we really like looking 5 years in advance, kind of like with what you're saying and make sure you know what you're doing, planning wise. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you think is the best tax advice anyone's ever given you?
Oh, goodness.
Didn't know they were getting tough questions this morning, right?
I'll have to think about it. I'm not sure. I'll have to think about that.
That's fine. What's the best tax advice you've ever given someone else?
Probably I have a client who was pretty high earner, and we ended up setting up a defined benefit plan for him. And he put about $1 million in it over a 5-year period, and that was huge for him. So it was what used to be called a 412E life insurance product, but he was able to put a lot of money in that and saved him a lot of money in taxes. So I've got a couple clients that have done that, and special circumstances in order to be able to do it. But if you meet the right definitions, it's a really pretty powerful tool.
That's awesome. We've actually done some of that. We do some qualified plan work, and it's interesting. If someone is either a consultant or only has maybe 1 or 2 employees, and have a high income situation, there are some really cool things they can do and save a lot in taxes. Mm-hmm. So that's awesome to hear because we've done some work with that as well. So so tell us about this designation you got, CVA, if I got that right. What does that mean, and what does that let you do?
So I'm a certified valuation analyst, and so I do a good bit of business valuation work. And most of my business valuation work is done in conjunction with gift and estate planning. So I don't have the names of every single divorce lawyer in Greenville County on my Rolodex. So really, so in 2021, I had 17 valuation engagements, and they were anywhere from just a really small business that was looking at selling to really the company that was kind of their distributor, and then we had. Got one I'm wrapping up right now. The fella passed away, and so we're doing valuation for his estate. He's a minority owner of a pretty large company, and then just it runs the gamut. So some of these are business succession planning, where they're bringing in the second generation, and they want to have a potential. Some of it would be a sale, partial sale, and then partial gift. So they're bringing in the second generation. but they don't want to gift the entire interest to the second generation. They want to make the individual pay for it, or partially pay for it. And so we've set those up so that you'll gift do a 20% gift and a 15% sale, so that the second generation ends up with 35% of the company, but still doesn't own a controlling interest in the company. So
I'm curious with that. With last year, two things happened. Well, I guess more than two things, but two things come to mind with that. COVID happened, obviously, and I know in my own practice, and I know an estate planning attorney that we've had actually on this show and talking to other people, there seems to have been a more deadly year last year. I don't know if that was in your practice as well. We had more deaths, whether it was COVID, some cancer, some other things. So I'm curious with that, and or we hear nationwide divorce rates going up because people are spending more time with one another, and I guess deciding that led to divorce. That's a whole nother show. We're not covering that today. Love you, honey. But actually, we stayed at work a lot, so we're all good at my house. But I hear anecdotally that went up. So I'm curious, did you see more divorce death work last year in your practice, or was it about the same?
We did not experience divorce among our clientele this last year. Well, we had one, but not. It was not dramatic.
Moral of the story: marriage is good. Hire Mark, right?
Yeah,
that's right. So we had several client deaths, but I wouldn't say it was that it was higher than normal.
Gotcha.
So.
Yeah, and again, those were anecdotal. I do know nationwide supposedly divorce rates up because
I know it sounds like what I'm hearing is if you want to be healthy and you don't want to get divorced, hire Mark and you'll be in good hands. Is what it's looking like.
We hope 2022 leads to the same thing. So, that's certainly awesome. So we kind of got this signature question that we're going to ask you, not to put you on the spot, but I'm going to let Mr. Cameron ask this here as we kind of wrap up.
So one of the questions we always ask, and we've had some very, very unique answers to this, is what makes you tick?
So I like helping our clients. And so, I mean, that's just really important to me. And I get a tremendous amount of satisfaction seeing our clients become successful. And whether that, obviously financial is part of it, but, we had a client years and years ago, a landscape contractor, and he had 20 crews. And he came in one day and said, you know what, I've decided to fire all my crews, and I've got 6 guys I'm going to keep on, and that's it. And he made a lot less money, but his life was a whole lot easier after he let go of his 20 crews. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're maximizing income. In his case, his life was a whole lot better, and he had a lot more flexibility when he let go of all of his crews, and ended up with 6 guys that worked for him. So, awesome. So sometimes it doesn't have to be income maximization. Sometimes it's, I can make my life more flexible by, eliminating some aggravation in my life.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Glad to hear it.
Quality of life matters a lot.
Right.
That's for sure. Well, how could people, if they did want to have a happy marriage and a quality of life, because you clearly are delivering those, and some help with taxes, how could they find you if they wanted to reach out to you?
So our website is www.fullservicecpa.com, and I'm located on Pelham Road. And then we have 5 offices throughout the state. So I've got clients in Columbia, clients in up near the North Carolina border. So I've got clients in Tennessee. So not all my clients are in Greenville. So last week I had a meeting down in Columbia, met with a young lady who's been a client of ours for several years, who's, really kind of taken her business and really taken off this year, last year. So she needed some additional planning work. So I met with her one day last week. So
awesome.
Well, thanks for joining us, Mark. We appreciate you being here, and I guess keep the energy drinks and caffeine close by and make it through this tax season. I know it's kind of crunch time for you coming up. So
about to get into it.
Appreciate you taking a little time to kick us off.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Well, thank everyone for joining us. Again, we're connected by community. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and all the various social media and podcast platforms. Please like us and watch us and share us with your community. Until we see you again, go out and make our community great.